Welcome. My mother-in-law's birthday is coming up. She'll be 65, and I am going to make her a, what's it called? I'm going to be making her a Dubai chocolate cake. She loves chocolate, and the last couple of years we've made her some very chocolatey cakes, but she also loves pistachio. So I thought this year could do something a little bit fun and try out the Dubai chocolate cake and see how she likes that. So I've got most of my ingredients all set up here. This bowl is also obnoxiously gigantic. I don't know if I will need the bowl that big, but we'll find out. It doesn't really matter. It gets baked in one pan, so that'll be nice and easy. I've got the pan already prepared with some... What are you doing, you lunatics? Bunnies. I've got the pan prepared, oiled and dusted with cocoa since it's chocolate, and I have a little round of parchment in there. So what we're going to do, put the dry in here first, and then add in the wet after mixing it in this. So we have, or I have, there's no we today, I've got in here 170 grams of flour. I always measure it on a scale. I don't use measuring cups apart from like the odd time with like liquid or something, but 170 grams of flour. And I also have a teaspoon of salt and then a teaspoon each of baking soda and baking powder. So that goes in here. It's not a ton of flour, again, because it's just making one layer of cake. To that, 75 grams of cocoa powder. I have Ghirardelli Majestic, I think it is. Little spanky spank. Okay, do some whisking. And then 300 grams of white sugar. So just like to whisk it so that there are no lumps. You can sift it if you want. I didn't think that was necessary today. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I won't. I'm a bit of a rebel, little daredevil, if you will. And my man broke my favorite smaller whisk. Boo to him. I don't know why he has to just manhandle everything, but whatever. Okay. Just put that there for now. So this is 150 grams of sour cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, this is a half cup or 125 mils of canola oil. You can do avocado oil or grapeseed oil, just a light tasting oil. I don't advise using olive oil or anything. I hate the way olive oil tastes in baking. It is disgusting. All right, 2 eggs. Get these in the compost. Sorry if the sound was weird for that first part. I realized that I had my microphone on my apron, but I did not have it attached to my phone. I'm such a special girl sometimes. Okay, so mix these up together. Okay, so that's half a cup of canola oil, 150 grams of sour cream, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and then in the bowl, 170 grams of flour, 300 grams of sugar, 75 grams of cocoa, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon each of baking soda and baking powder. Okay, so this is nice and combined. So the next ingredient, I'm just going to prepare it. Okay, so these get combined now. So we don't want to overmix. I don't think it's necessary to use a mixer. I do have a KitchenAid mixer. I also have a little handheld one. Really hating this right now. I put that down just so I don't splatter and make a big mess. But whatever. Again, just rebellious over here. All right, so that's looking pretty good. And now the main ingredient, 2/3 cup of hot coffee. It's very hot. So we're going to stir that around. Try not to splatter. And my oven is set to 350. All right. So we don't want to beat the snot out of it. It's looking nice and combined and beautiful. So we'll get rid of this whisk. Greased and prepared pound. Yes. Greased and prepared pan. 9-inch. Almost forgot a very important part. Well, important to me. I don't think everyone does this, but we want a nice flat cake, right? We don't want it to have a big crazy dome. So this, I just soaked this baking strap in very cold water, got it nice and wet, wrung it out a bit, tightened it around the cake pan, and now we go into the oven. And my oven is slow as hell, so 35 to 45 minutes. I will check on it in 35 minutes, but it's not going to be ready. That I can guarantee, but I would rather check on it before it's burnt to hell. Okay, so I already took it out. Oh, sigh. So I've already taken it out once and checked on it. And I took off my little baking strap thing. It was not done as I predicted. So we put back in for another 15 minutes or so. Okay. looking good. All right, that is cooked. Nice. Okay, so yeah, it needed another 15 minutes. I could just tell by how liquidy the middle was when I poked it the first time. And as I said, my oven is very slow, so that was not a surprise at all. I'm going to let it cool in the pan for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to turn it out onto the cooling rack. So it had been cooling for about 10 minutes. I took it out. I thought I was filming and I was not filming. Hooray. So anyway, I decided to turn it out onto this because I found the other one just a little bit too small. So I just inverted it, and it just popped out as soon as I lifted the cake pan, and it had the parchment on it, which I peeled off. So now it is nice and piping molten hot, and I'm going to let that hang out and cool down. And while that's cooling down, I can go ahead and get started on the I guess the filling, the topping. I don't know. It's a layer of the Dubai chocolate filling, and then you coat it after that's on. So that needs to be very cool though before you put it on, otherwise everything will melt. I'll probably voice over some of this because I was listening to some horror narrations while I was cooking this, but because it takes so long, there's not really much I could have said the entire way through this process. And in case I decide not to voice over and just speed this up to get through it faster, there was a couple tablespoons of butter, and you basically just toast it until it's toasted. I think I've been doing this for about 20 minutes now. There are a few little pieces that are still a bit pale that I'm probably going to put back in after I take some of this out. But I didn't want to burn some of the other bits. And I started off on medium heat, and now I've reduced it to kind of medium low-ish. And this was about 220 grams. Most of this will go into the pistachio filling, but some of it will get scattered over top. So it is on this pan. It's just like a long serving platter, so it can cool down here, and then I will move on to the next step. On to the pistachio filling now. So I've already put these in the bowl. So this is about 180 grams of raw shelled pistachios, so not the toasted ones. These are just raw shelled. They were a little bit hard to find. I ended up having to get these off of Amazon, so that's fine. Ew. Ugh. So these got ground up just for a couple moments in here, and then we can start adding in the other ingredients. There's going to be about, I guess about a cup of room temperature butter, which is 227 grams. And then we've got about 2 tablespoons of canola oil or grapeseed oil or any light tasting oil. And then there is a couple cups of powdered sugar that goes in here, a bit of vanilla, a little pinch of salt. So I'm going to get started on that. So this will get blitzed up first. Okay. So once these are ground up a bit before adding in oil or anything else, it says to take about a 1/4 cup. That is going to be part of the decoration on the top of the cake later. So open that. And while this is going, I'm going to drizzle in some of the oil. So this part can take like 5 or more minutes. Just good to scrape down the bowl every once in a while. Okay, so that took about 7 minutes for me, but now it's nice and peanut buttery. And I did have to stop and scrape the bowl down pretty regularly. Okay. So that's good. Now have to add about a teaspoon of vanilla. Sure, whatever. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Room temperature butter. Powdered sugar. Now I do have more butter to add. I'm just kind of layering it. Okay, so we've got the 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there, about 240 grams of powdered sugar, about a teaspoon of vanilla with the pistachio butter. So this you want to pulse. You don't have to blend the hell out of it, but you do want it to be nice and combined. Ooh. So that looks beautiful. I'm just going to give a little scrapey scrape. Oh, this is so pretty. It's like, look at that. Sorry, it's really dark in here today. Okay. So now that this is nice and blended, you can, if you're ready to use it right now, which I'm not, but you would stir the kataifi that was already toasted into this and put it on the cake, but I am going to be doing this later, so I don't want to mix it up just yet. I know it usually stays really crispy for a really good amount of time, but I don't want to take the chance. So I'm just going to let this hang out at room temperature for a bit while I do a few other things. And right before I stack this onto the cake is when I'm going to add the toasted kataifi